Viewers will recall how Joe Biden promised to hold Saudi Arabia accountable and come down hard on them over the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
I said that at the time. Khashoggi was, in fact, murdered and dismembered, and I believe on the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear we were not going to sell more weapons to them. We were going to make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
Ties between Saudi Arabia and the United States do not depend on individuals, neither Biden nor Trump. They are built on a historical record of several decades of mutual interests and common values.
Now, these words came before Joe Biden became president, but it seems things have certainly changed since he's taken office. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will continue to receive what Joe Biden refers to as defensive arms from the United States. As far as punishing the Crown Prince, even though the FBI has come forward and said that they have no doubt that Mohammed bin Salman did order the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, at this point, the Biden administration is saying the answer is more diplomacy. Diplomacy seems to be a key word.
Of course, we reserve the right to take any action at a time and manner of our choosing. I will note, Steve, that historically, the United States, through Democratic and Republican presidents, has not typically sanctioned government leaders of countries where we have diplomatic relations.
Now, nobody seems happy with these actions. We've got U.S. mainstream media and even fellow Democrats speaking up and criticizing Joe Biden, saying that Saudi Arabia needs to be held accountable for these actions, and the moves he's taken are simply not enough.
Leaders around the world who use violence to crush dissent really don't see any material punishment coming out of sanctioning 76 people who are not the Crown Prince.
You say hold them accountable, and it just doesn't look like that when it comes to the notion of justice.
We now know that the man most responsible is the Crown Prince, and he hasn't yet been held accountable.
And they could do more. They could put MBS, they could put him on the visa ban list. That's a step they could take.
When it comes to Saudi Arabia, they deny that the Crown Prince was involved and say that it is time to move on. Furthermore, we've got visa restrictions for some Saudi individuals. Meanwhile, many of Joe Biden's supporters are angry that it seems like Saudi Arabia is getting almost a slap on the wrist and not being fully held accountable. So at this point, nobody seems to be happy. This is the new style of diplomacy from the Biden White House.
I guess I'm jaded enough that in the context of U.S. politics, the charge of hypocrisy is a weak one. We see it all the time. He's definitely behaving differently from what he promised, not 100% differently, perhaps, because there has been some shift, but this is definitely not the performance that was promised. But the story's not over yet because Congress has a say in this. You have this government that basically exists because of the United States, and yet the United States is so far apparently powerless to hold it accountable. So the tail is wagging the dog, as we say. So government is dependent on the United States, but it's basically controlling U.S. policy more than the other way around.